stood frozen in the mist, her heart pounding in her chest as the spirit's glowing eyes bored into her. The shadowy figure loomed before her, its presence overwhelming and ancient. The air was thick with a strange energy, making it hard to breathe. "You come seeking freedom from the pact," the spirit rumbled again, its voice like distant thunder. "But freedom always has a price, Amara." Amara swallowed hard, gripping the leather pouch Kelechi had given her. She felt small and powerless in the presence of the spirit, but she knew she had to stay strong. Her family was depending on her. "I don't want anyone else to suffer," Amara said, her voice trembling but firm. "My brother, my mother, they've paid enough. Please let them go." The spirit's eyes glowed brighter, and the mist around Amara thickened. She could barely see her own hands. "I have granted your wishes," the spirit said slowly, "but balance must be restored. I cannot give without taking. The calabash is bound to its law." Amara felt tears well up in her eyes. She had known this would be difficult, but the reality of it was crushing. The spirit wasn't going to simply release her family. It wanted something in return, something she feared would be far worse than anything she could imagine. "But there must be another way," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "I'll do anything. Just tell me what you want." The spirit was silent for a long time. The mist swirled around them, and Amara could hear faint whispers in the air, as if the very forest was alive with spirits watching her. Then the spirit spoke again, its voice softer now, almost thoughtful. "There is one way," it said slowly, "a sacrifice greater than any you have made before. If you are willing to give up what is most precious to you, I will release your family from the curse. But beware, Amara, the price may be more than you are willing to pay." Amara's heart sank. What could be more precious than her family? What could the spirit possibly ask for? She didn't know, but the weight of its words pressed down on her like a stone. "What is it?" she whispered, barely able to speak. The spirit shifted, its dark form flickering like smoke in the wind. "Your freedom," it said simply. "In exchange for their lives, you must give up your own. You will remain bound to the calabash, serving it for eternity. You will live, but you will never be free." Amara gasped, her mind racing. Her freedom? She had come here to break the curse, to save her family from this nightmare, and now the spirit was asking her to bind herself to the very thing she had fought to escape. But what choice did she have? If she did not agree, her mother might die, her brother could fall ill again. The calabash's curse would continue to tear her family apart, one by one. But if she agreed, she would lose her own life, her future, her dreams, all for the sake of the ones she loved. Amara's thoughts spun in dizzying circles. She thought of Tunde's bright smile, of Mami Joma's warm hugs. She thought of the life she wanted for them, a life without fear, without sickness, a life where they could be happy and free. Tears streamed down her face as she realized what she had to do. "I accept," she whispered, her voice breaking with sorrow. "I'll give up my freedom. Just, please, save my family." The spirit's eyes flared with a bright, eerie light. "So be it," it said, its voice echoing through the mist. Suddenly, the air around Amara grew colder, and a strange sensation washed over her. She felt like the weight of her decision settled deep inside her, like chains wrapping around her heart. The mist began to swirl faster, pulling her in, and she felt herself slipping away, like a leaf caught in a powerful current. But just as the darkness closed in around her, a new voice cut through the air. "Wait!" Amara blinked, confused. The spirit paused, its glowing eyes narrowing. Out of the swirling mist stepped a figure, someone Amara never expected to see. It was Mama Lani, her grandmother, looking exactly as she had in life, Her eyes were bright, her face calm, and she radiated a powerful presence that seemed to push back the spirit's darkness. "Grandmother!" Amara gasped, hardly believing her eyes. Mamalani smiled gently at her. "Child, you have done enough. You do not need to carry this burden alone." The spirit growled, its form twisting angrily. "She has made her choice," it hissed. "The pact cannot be broken." But Mamalani stood firm, her eyes never leaving Amara's. "The pact was never meant for her," she said softly. "It was mine to bear and mine to release." Amara's mind raced. What did her grandmother mean? How could she be involved in this ancient curse? Before Amara could ask, Mamalani turned to the spirit. "I am the one who bound this family to the Calabash, and I am the one who will end it." The spirit's eyes flared with anger. "You cannot undo what has already been done." Mamalani's face remained calm. "Watch me." With a swift motion, Mamalani raised her hands and the mist around them began to glow with a soft, golden light. The spirit howled in fury as the light grew brighter, pushing it back into the shadows. Amara watched in awe as her grandmother's power surged through the air, breaking the chains that had bound her family for generations. The mist swirled faster and faster until finally, with a deafening roar, the spirit vanished into the night. The forest grew silent. The mist slowly faded, leaving Amara standing alone with Mamalani. Her grandmother smiled at her, her eyes full of love. "You are free now, Amara. Your family is safe." Amara's heart swelled with relief and gratitude, but as she reached out to embrace her grandmother, Mamalani began to fade, her form dissolving into the soft light of the moon. "Wait!" Amara cried, reaching out. "Don't leave me!" But Mamalani's voice was soft and reassuring. "I will always be with you, my child. Always." And with that, she was gone, leaving Amara standing in the quiet forest. The weight of the calabash finally lifted from her soul. But as Amara returned to the forest, a faint whisper echoed in the distance, sending a chill down her spine. Amara stood in the quiet of the forest, her heart racing after witnessing the incredible power of her grandmother, Mamalani. The mist had faded, the ancient spirit was gone, and for the first time in days, Amara felt a strange sense of peace. But as she prepared to leave, a faint whisper echoed through the trees, barely audible, yet unmistakable. It was the calabash. Amara froze, gripping the leather pouch in her hand. She had thought it was over, that the spirit had been banished, and her family was safe. But the soft, haunting whisper persisted, sending chills down her spine. The calabash, though silent and cold now, had not been completely destroyed. Amara understood that while her grandmother's intervention had freed her from the curse, the object still held ancient power. The whispers in the wind, faint as they were, hinted that the calabash's spirit wasn't truly gone. It was only dormant, waiting for another chance to awaken. Amara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had come so far, made so many sacrifices, and she wasn't going to allow the curse to haunt her family again. With renewed determination, she headed back to the village of Bembe. The calabash tucked securely in her bag. When she returned, her mother was sitting up in bed, smiling weakly as Tunde brought her a bowl of warm porridge. The sight filled Amara with relief. Her brother was healthy, her mother's strength was slowly returning, and for now, the worst seemed behind them. But Amara knew that she couldn't leave things as they were. That evening, after making sure her family was safe and resting, she sought out Kelechi one last time. The wise elder sat outside his hut, his old eyes gazing at the stars, as if he had been expecting her. "You did well, child," Kelechi said quietly as he approached. "But I can sense that there is something weighing on your heart." Amara nodded, sitting beside him. "The calabash, it's still here. I can feel its presence. I know the spirit is gone, but its power hasn't completely vanished. What should I do with it?" Kelechi sighed deeply, his eyes narrowing as he looked into the distance. The calabash was made by an ancient power, one that cannot be easily undone. Its spirit may rest, but its magic remains. You have a choice to make, Amara. You can keep it, use its power cautiously, knowing what it can demand. Or you can destroy it, ensuring its curse never touches another soul. Amara stared at the calabash in her hands. The smooth, carved surface seemed so harmless now, but she knew the darkness it held inside. She had seen what it could do, how it twisted her desires into nightmares. Her family had suffered enough, and she couldn't bear the thought of someone else finding it and falling into the same trap. Can it be destroyed? She asked softly. Kelechi nodded. There is a way. It must be returned to the place where it was first bound, the sacred river of Bembe. The water will wash away its power, and the calabash will become nothing more than a memory. Amara's heart tightened at the thought of the river. It was far, hidden deep within the forest, and the journey would be long and dangerous, but she knew it was the only way to protect her family and the entire village from the curse. The next morning, as the sun rose over Bembe, Amara set out for the sacred river. She carried the calabash carefully in a woven bag, her heart heavy but resolute. Tunde and Mami Joma were still resting, unaware of the weight of the journey Amara was taking for them. She had said her goodbyes quietly, not wanting to worry them. The path to the river was overgrown, winding through thick trees and underbush, but Amara pressed on. She remembered stories from Mama Lani, tales of how the river held great power and had been the source of many blessings for the village. But over time, the river's magic had been forgotten, its connection to the calabash hidden. After hours of walking, Amara finally reached the river's edge. The water sparkled under the bright sun, clear and peaceful, as if untouched by time. She stood there for a moment, feeling the calm energy of the place. This was where the calabash belonged, where it could no longer hurt anyone. With trembling hands, Amara pulled the calabash from her bag. She held it over the water, its weight strangely light now. The whispers had grown faint, nearly silent, but she could still feel the calabash's ancient pull. It had caused so much pain, and yet there was a strange sadness in letting it go. But she knew what had to be done. Let this be the end, Amara whispered, her voice soft but firm. And with that, she dropped the calabash into the river. For a moment, nothing happened. The calabash sank slowly, disappearing beneath the surface. Then, a soft ripple spread across the river, and Amara felt a shift in the air. The oppressive weight that had lingered around her lifted, and for the first time she felt truly free. The curse was broken. Amara stood by the river for a while, watching the water flow gently, carrying the calabash far away. It was over. Her family was safe. The dark spirit vanquished. She had done what no one else could. She had ended the calabash's terrible cycle. As she made her way back to the village, the sun shining brightly overhead, Amara felt a sense of peace wash over her. The calabash was gone, and her family would be free from its grip forever. But deep in the forest, far from the village of Bembe, the river continued to flow, carrying with it the secrets of the ancient world. And somewhere, beneath its clear waters, the calabash rested, its power sleeping, but never fully gone. I hope you love the story, and if you do, please leave your comments in the comment section telling me what story you would like to hear next. Please click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!